Well, welcome to the High Vibration Living podcast, Ingrid.
Thanks, Whitney. I'm not sure if I should call you Chef Whitney, but Whitney as I know you. But I'm so
Absolutely.
happy to be here.
Me too. And I love chatting with you. I like the no nonsense advice that you give. And so I want to learn more about how you became a wellness manager and coach. Guide us a little bit on how you got here.
Okay, so I'm South African, as you can tell by the accent, and I got a transfer to the United States. Houston was my port of entry, and learning how to navigate my way through America was one thing, but on every street corner, I saw a drive-through. I never grew up with drive-throughs. I didn't know what the hell it was. And I spent a year going through every drive-through. This was like the thing. I could get burgers and fries, ice cream and sodas. There was even a beverage barn, so you could get alcohol.
Hmm.
And I think what happens is you don't realize what you're doing to yourself. This is just the way of life. It's convenient, it's easy, it's yummy. And about a year later, I went back to South Africa to visit my dad. And my childhood doctor saw me and he said, "We have to talk." Anyway, I went to see him and he put me on the scale, and my top weight was 203 pounds. I came to America, I think I was 121, 125. And he said, sat me down and he said, "If you don't get a handle on all of this, you will live in a body that's 300 pounds plus for the rest of your life." And I have to tell you, Whitney, I freaked out. I came back to the States. And I looked for that one person that could show me the ropes. I'd never walked into a gym. I didn't know what healthy was. We eat very differently. I mean, what we consider organic here is how we ate at home in South Africa. Anyway, a girlfriend gave me a gift to a personal trainer, and I walked into this bodybuilding gym and thought, where the hell am I? Anyway, loved her, loved the training, and knew that I was onto something. I then found another trainer who was cooking for people, put me on the list. And my opinion is the bodybuilder diet, as though it does get you ready for a show or competition, is one of the unhealthiest diets out there. But it began the journey. It was rice, broccoli, and tuna, rice, broccoli, and turkey. And I lived that way. It took me approximately 3 years to lose 70 pounds, but I did it on my own. I searched I looked, I asked questions. I put myself through nutrition school because I suddenly realized what I was eating was not the best for good health. Certainly for bodybuilding, but I didn't know anything, and there really wasn't anyone talking about it. The gyms were on one side and the rest of the population was on the other. And did a year in a holistic nutrition school, learning superfoods and macros, what's healthy, what's not healthy, what does our food look like. And my trainer said, "You'd make a fabulous personal trainer." I said, "Really?" Anyway, got myself enrolled into Baylor Sports Medicine. And I chose that school because it had a practical side to it. Most people today get this very, really thick book, read, learn, write a test, and they think they're trainers. Whereas I actually was on the floor with study. I mean, people that were our studies, if you will. But we were taught form. We were taught how to exercise. What was the right way? What should we look at when we work with a client? My study was a pregnant woman, and when I did blood pressure, I couldn't hear her heartbeat and I couldn't hear anything. I can show you're alive. But it taught me that everybody was so different, that just
Yeah.
because the book said X didn't mean that the person in front of me was that X or should be put into that pigeonhole. And so this journey began for me now as a personal trainer, I found somebody I could work under just to guide me through and keep an eye on me, and started building a clientele. Started adding food into that and realized that if I start with food with people, I lost them, because to tell somebody how to eat without seeing something shift in their body was absolutely not the option. People are like,
Yeah.
"I don't want to do that. I don't want to eat that. And I don't see a shift." So I always start with personal training. Let's get your
Mhm.
body going. And when they say, "Look, I see a little muscle," then I know we can move into the realm of food, because now things are connecting for them. So I
Yes.
started to build these pieces, and over the years have added pieces as I've gotten older, of course, because I'm in that 60-ish bracket. And I've noticed that when people my age plus walk into a gym, they are invisible to people because we have the selfie population and we have the big bodybuilders, and the 70-year-old or 69-year-old walks into a gym, doesn't really know what they're doing. Nobody sees them. So they're sitting back to front on a piece of equipment, or they're not fueling to do the workout. They're definitely not drinking enough water. And without all of that, I like to throw mindset into it, because if you're not managing your thoughts or managing your brain, you're going to fall off because you're doing something, you don't see the results. What the hell? I'm out. Now, to get
Yeah.
them back in is a very difficult chore because they are done. And they say, well, I'm old, who cares? And I'm saying, start to care, because your body is the only house you live in. And if you don't take care of it, you're going to either end up in the world of medication, pharmaceuticals, or you're going to sit on the couch overweight. And if we look at this country today, we have 80% is obese, and 40% of that is morbidly obese. But the worst of it is the children are starting as well. And nobody has the knowledge how to. And I call my superpower, I hear what others don't hear. So when somebody tells me their story, I'm hearing the pain behind it, and gives me an idea of how to embrace that client so that I'm talking their language. I'm meeting them where they are. And certain things just come later because it makes more sense for them. So I'll just keep going, right? So
No,
my way,
everything you're saying makes perfect sense. And what I don't understand is what pain point I hear a lot from people is they can't afford to be healthy. And my
oh, so
response is
glad you brought
it's going
that.
to cost you so much money in the end if you don't start making the better choices now.
Okay, but I
I
would
don't
have
think it costs more money to be healthy. I think
just
you
going to
just have
say
to
that.
decide how you prioritize things in life. I want to hear what you hear when clients push back to you and they say, "Well, it's so expensive to choose to be healthy."
I always say, let's just take the organic piece out of it for a moment. Certainly, if you're on
Yeah.
a low income, I get organic is a little more expensive. And there's certainly foods you don't need to have organic. But if we're on a budget, going out and buying 5 Big Macs to feed your children is more of a time constraint. And I don't want to say lazy, but there's no plan involved. But I believe if you want your family to be healthy, to buy, we call it a punnet, but a tray of minced chicken, minced turkey, minced meat, you can make food and rice and broccoli that is not crazy or out of the pocketbook crazy expensive. What I see is I'm not willing to plan. I don't want to set up the meals ahead of time. I don't want to prep on a Sunday. So what happens is you're now coming home from your second job or your first job. You got to feed the family. The quickest and the easiest without the mind hassle is to drive through a drive-through. So yes, it's maybe costing you, I don't know what McDonald's costs in today, but it's costing you whatever, $20 to feed your family. And I promise you that you could get ground beef or ground chicken or ground turkey, rice, even if we did the Insta rice, okay, that is really all you have to do is heat it up, and a broccoli or a cauliflower, or, I mean, it is affordable. So I don't buy into that. I'd
Yes.
rather somebody be honest and say, I hate cooking. I hate planning, and I don't know how to feed my family, because then we approach it from a completely different perspective. Or I call you and I send your people in to help my people eat correctly. I think it's lack of knowledge, and I think
Yeah.
it's lack of time. And I will address that and say we all have the same 24 hours in a day. It's how you bend time. You want to sit and
And
watch
you're
Netflix for 3 hours? You go right ahead. But that could be a walk, a plan, a cook, and feed the family.
Yeah, and we aren't the first people to have to figure out this planning of time for food. Every man and woman has done this for themselves or for their family beyond and before our existence. I think
Absolutely.
it's never been easier. You've never had more efficient refrigerators, more efficient ovens, more more efficient countertop equipment. There's never been an easier time. You go to the supermarket, it's a lot easier to get fresh ground beef than it was in the 50s.
Amen.
So let's go. Let's take advantage of all the convenience that exists now for us to be able to eat fresh foods
Correct.
and figure out like what our priorities are. And you nailed it. Some people just don't like to cook. So if that is you, you have to just find the best workaround to that so you still are getting nourishment. I think there's no excuse for fast food, and I don't think it's ever going to go away. But my dream is that more people start wanting, craving, and identify that the food they eat is their physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental brain function. And so they realize they can't choose that if they want to be able to function in society. So those fast food places are going to have to step up the quality of the ingredients and the freshness of their ingredients so we can all
And I
kind of get
don't know
better
that
together.
that's actually going to happen. I mean, this whole nonsense began, and I call it nonsense because it is,
Yeah.
in the 70s when we made food for the rest of the world. And actually, the rest of the world said, no, no, no thanks. We don't want to
Yeah.
eat that food. They
Yeah.
repackaged it and they sold it to Americans. It was convenient and yummy, and we were sitting in front of the TV and eating our TV dinners. And well, there we are, right?
Yeah.
But it was about a convenience, it was about ease, and I really didn't have to be in the kitchen like my mother or grandmother. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I got other things to do. So I think that's a story. In mindset, we all get stuck on our stories and we tell it over and over. We then end up really believing that story, and it becomes our belief system. It's too expensive, I can't do it. I think that's a cop out, because those kind of foods, that is causing terrible inflammation in our body. And with time, we have learned that inflammation is the root of all diseases, metabolic conditions, diabetes, heart disease. I mean, all of it stems from inflammation. And what I'd really like to do is that people should understand that inflammation is the alarm system of your body. Simple as that. I burn myself
Reminder.
on the stove. Inflammation comes, gets the alarm, we know it. It gets red, it covers it, the burn heals, and inflammation subsides. Unfortunately, due to the food we eat and the lack of water we don't drink, and the process, the refined, is switching that alarm, gets stuck on. So we're now going into chronic inflammation, and that is causing bigger issues for us. I mean, how do we get rid of it? We're seeing people that if you don't start working on the inflammation, the pathways to get to organs, to get to the brain, start banging up, clogging up, and not getting to where it needs to. So now we start the obesity story, because nothing is working. Hormones are not getting where they need to. Nutrition is not getting where it needs to go. And we're just getting bigger and bigger. We don't do anything about it. We put people in a chair, or we put people in a scooter, and nobody, not even the doctors, are addressing it.
So I'd love to know, when clients come to you and you can see on them, on their face, with their skin, with their body, that they're suffering with a lot of inflammation. What's the first 3 things you try to have them swap in their diet or upgrade in their diet?
Okay, so first of all, to know there's inflammation, for me, it's people are exhausted, they're fatigued, their joints ache. I mean, those are indicative signs nothing's working. Brain fog. So I always start with water. People say, what should I do? Water. What else? Water. Most of us walk around dehydrated. And I want people to understand the difference between how it feels to be dehydrated and what it feels to be hydrated, because that is radically different. And when we're hydrated, now we can start to do things. I don't believe I can know what's under anything until we do lab work. Labs for me is the God honest truth of what's happening inside your bodies. I eat healthy. I don't understand what that means. No, I drink water. How much? I don't really know. So they're not aware of their body, and their norm is processed, is brain fog, is convenience. And suddenly weight's just becoming, we're in society, we're saying, love your big body. I say, how unhealthy is that big body? Let's start looking at that. I like to take them to the grocery store because I think people don't read labels. We look at the macros, the sugar, the carbohydrates. Well, it's in good range. I'm eating it. But let's look at the ingredients. Where do I find that? Okay, so now we're going to shop in the grocery store on the outskirts where the fresh is. We can do it on a budget. The minute you go down the aisle, we're in process land. If there's more than 5 items in ingredients in that item, it goes back onto the shelf. What's left to eat? Then comes the question, are you ready? Because if you are not ready to draw that line, nothing I do or say will change anything. And I always say, no judgment. You can eat whatever you want, but you can tell me you're doing one thing, and I just have to look at you, and I'm going to know something else. You know, my little tagline, what you eat in private, you wear in public. Don't forget that. So you are coming out with a bigger belly, even though you partied all weekend and you're telling me I was healthy. So let's get honest. Let's get really honest. I like to call it RTT, radical truth telling to yourself. You don't have to share it, but get real honest with you. I love candy, or I love... And then before we start, I like to put them on a cleanse. People freak out. I can't drink. That's not a juice cleanse. It's a whole food cleanse. I just take out inflammatory foods. We get off all the allergens, dairy, gluten, coffee, sugar, and the things that are inflammatory. So if you have autoimmune, I'm taking you off nightshades, no tomatoes, no chili, peppers. People are unaware of it. The doctor is not talking about that. And what that cleanse will do, it's a 2-week cleanse. There's a prep week and a cleanse week. I find clients stay on it because they feel fabulous. They will lose weight because we're starting to lose the inflammation. At the end of it, and there's so much food, Whitney, it's like that nobody can be hungry. And hummus and celery is not a lunch or a dinner. Very clear on that. And the more we eat, the better in shape we will be. But then we start reintroducing your favorite foods, the foods you miss the most. So I have a client who's on a cleanse right now, and she's doing really well, but she misses her dairy. So she had yogurt, and her whole face, I mean, she got so snotty and mucusy, and she's like, I think I'm getting a cold. I'm like, no, you're having a sensitivity to the food. And I want you to recognize that. Now, I don't say don't have the dairy, but I promise you, after 5 times of eating that and feeling that way, people tend to stop eating that food. And that's on them. It's their choice. I'm not telling you what to do. I just want to show people what is possible. And we've forgotten how good feeling good can feel. That makes sense. But, you know, we've forgotten that. We eat because it's 7 or because it's noon. We eat because it's so-and-so's birthday. We're having the cake, although we know we shouldn't. The food noise is there, but I'm just going to have a bite. And we start talking, you've eaten the whole slice. How do you feel? Well, I don't know. How do you feel? And I think Americans have forgotten what it is to be hungry. We don't know what that is. We don't know when to stop eating. When is enough? But there comes the mindset piece, and there comes the addiction of sugar and gluten that's talking to these clients. Like, I want more, I want more, I want more. I can't keep it quiet. I'll just have it. I'm 64 and I'm getting old. No, that is not the answer at all. So I talk truth kindly. I ask a lot of questions. I mean, I really want to understand my client. How do they live? What's important? How many in their family? What's your non-negotiables? Where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years? Because now we're going to backtrack and see what you're doing now that's not going to get you there, or what you are doing that will get you there. And as I said, this is the only body, the only house I got. If I don't look after it, where will I be? Right, I'm going to be sitting in doctor's offices every afternoon, looking at an overweight doctor for the most part, and I'm generalizing, and their staff is just as large, and nobody knows anything about food. And if we don't look at food as our medicine, really, really ask questions, most people leave their doctor's office with more questions than they arrived, and probably a script for anti-anxiety or an antidepressant, and come back and we'll take a look at it in a month. That's not the answer. That's not getting the people any information to move forward with. Yeah. So labs for me tell the story. I work with a lab where we do optimal testing. What does that mean? I live in California, so California to New York City is the normal margin. That is a very wide margin for people. I like to look at it, let's say from Arizona, I'd say Tijuana to San Diego, and bring it into an optimal state. I want people to feel like they did when they were 30 or 40. And I
Yes.
truly believe you can. You
I
really
think
can.
so too.
Yeah. So I'm looking at a cellular level, and I think that's a big part of what's wrong with our medical system. I call medicine out there 2.0 and optimal holistic 3.0. And if we don't start moving towards the 3.0, we are going to have a real problem in this country, a real problem. I mean, we look at how many chemicals are put into our foods. Even if you compare Europe and America, the same item, Europe has 5, we have 17. Most of it is chemicals. Now, what does a chemical do in your body? Oh, it tastes yummy. The fructose corn syrup is yum and addictive, but what is it doing to your body? Well, we don't care because Ozempic is the same thing. We'll do this so you can lose weight. Do you know what I don't care. I'm losing the weight. And I think we have to come at the population from a different perspective. And I think I run my business in a very different way than most. I don't have programs. I build a program with someone because until I sit with you, I don't know what's important. I don't know how you eat. I don't know your lifestyle. Are you feeding kidlets? Are you eating 3 dinners? Or is it just for you? What is non-negotiable? And most of my women don't take my wine from me. I'm not taking anything from
Interesting.
anyone. Yeah, that's the biggest. I'm happy to work with you. Just don't take my wine. Okay. I'm not
Interesting.
taking your wine, but if you're drinking a bottle of wine a night, then we need to have a
Yeah.
conversation about it. I'm
Well, and what's the
63, Whitney.
emotional connection to the wine, you know?
Well, we don't go further than that, and neither does the doctor.
Yeah.
Right? So we're not even asking, are you eating for emotional reasons? Are you sad? Are you bored? Are you tired? Are you overwhelmed? And we're doing this. Nobody ever questions that. Just don't eat it. Well, from being a big girl, I can tell you that doesn't work.
Yeah,
Absolutely
yeah.
doesn't work. You
Yeah, you
tell me
have
I
to find
shouldn't, I
stop.
want to eat twice as much. So I think that the supermarket visit, I like to teach people how to read a label. And that there's so many choices and different ways to do a thing that there is always a way around. There is always a way, always. And you can have your wine. You really can. Yes, it's high in sugar, and if you're diabetic, we should have a conversation of what that means. And you know when it's that addiction, I need another, I need another, I need another. But to have a relaxing glass of wine with a girlfriend, happy hour, or on the weekend, I want to live my life. I mean, I'm 63. I'm in good shape, and I don't live in a box. I like to go out and have fun. I do have a pizza from time to time. I don't eat the whole pizza, but I will share and I will have pasta. But I also don't overdo it because I know what it does to my body, and I know I'm waking up tomorrow with a big bloated belly. I don't want to do that. I want to feel good in my skin every day. How do I do
Yeah.
that? So it's backtracking from there. But so once I know about a person, now let's sit down and try and figure out how to get to that goal. What is the non-negotiable? What do we have to find another way around? So for me, you asked 3 things: water, movement, processed is my immediate go-tos because it's manageable. I'm not saying eat this way or eat that way. I'm just saying if it's refined or in a box or a million ingredients, not for you. Drink water. If you don't know how much, put it in a big pot on your kitchen table, and by 3 or 4 in the afternoon, that pot should be empty, and you will learn. It doesn't happen in a day. You don't go from 0 to 100 in a day, and it can take 6 weeks, and that's fine. But we do small increment steps, baby steps, because I think when you are slower in the beginning and easier, your implementation happens faster because the education is happening. You are learning how to feel. You're listening to your body talk to you. So now there's a different feel when you go and cook or you eat something in a restaurant or at a girlfriend's house. No, I don't like that. It's talking to me. So those three things are not just the item, but the ripple effect that it comes with that I think need to be addressed initially. And the cleanse helps.
Listen, yeah, if someone's listening to this and they were really inspired with what you shared in regards to lab tests, what should they be asking their doctor or their practitioner to test for or to look at that's maybe not optimal right now?
Okay, so that's a very large question. Okay, because you're taking somebody who has no knowledge, who's been told by someone, go get your labs. And
Yeah,
ordinarily they've done it in their doctor's office. It's part of the annual, and they run a
yeah.
set of labs. And that's fine. I don't know. I think it's almost like the traditional. So I have a woman
Mm-hmm.
that's 70 and she really wants to have a sexual life, sexual activity.
Yeah,
So I asked that she have her sex hormones checked. Now, it's not just about sex. Those sex hormones do a hell of a lot of other things. And her doctor said, but you're 71. I'm not testing your sex hormones. And I got irate because here is somebody who doesn't have much knowledge. What is she going to say to the doc? Well,
yeah,
hell, I want the test, right? So I think that what's missing in labs from your doctor today is
yeah.
preventative focus. We
Okay.
don't look at the person as a whole. We look at the symptom. So you go in, you've got brain fog or you've got a sore leg or whatever, and they're going to do blood tests that actually just look at that symptom, and you get treated with a pharmaceutical prescription for that symptom. I think that it should be proactive. We should look at the person as a whole. And I think that also to take into account is that we're all different. So that 71-year-old or that 69-year-old may have the same symptoms, but the root cause is completely different. So why would the same drug work? So I think we have to look at it on a wider scale. I think, and I've got notes here so I could share it with you because it's a lot to remember. But when you go in and you get a testosterone check or a blood work, okay?
Mhm.
And free testosterone will help with energy, muscle mass, mood swings. But your traditional test is only checking total testosterone. And that actually gives me a corner of the bird's eye view. And I think we're missing active levels of testosterone, the free testosterone, the total testosterone, actual testosterone becomes this whole. But how does somebody know to ask that? And I don't have that answer unless you have somebody like me that's going to advocate, teach you so that you can advocate for yourself. I think that thyroid is a big problem today in this country also. And all they're
Yeah.
checking for on traditional tests is T. Well, I need to see your reverse T3. I need to see your T4. I need to see your actual T3 and TSH. Now I'm looking at the thyroid in complete 3D. Otherwise, I'm just looking at the marker that's telling me it's high or low. Well, do I have Hashimoto's? Do I have hypothyroidism? It takes a while to get there. And if you're not doing all the tests, it's going to take weeks of testing to get to that answer for someone. Fasting insulin. Doctors deal with diabetes once it's diabetes because your sugar level is so through the roof. And then they'll test for the insulin and they say, not working. So let's put you on a insulin something or other, or we're going to put you on Ozempic and come back in 30 days. But if we look at the fasting insulin, it will detect the early markers of diabetes. So I'm talking cellular level, that if you just an average doctor looked at, you would not see that. And we're going to start seeing the metabolic issues that will come from lack of insulin, which means pancreas is not really functioning, or the messaging going to the pancreas is not working to get the production of it. And often we skip all of that because the blood sugar is so high, we're going to just deem it as diabetes. Is it really? A friend of mine just got diagnosed. It's reversible very quickly, really very quickly. But he wasn't given a diet. He wasn't sent to somebody to talk about the food and how to reverse it. So he's happily on Ozempic. What?
And you mentioned that there are natural GLP-1 options.
So I work with, I work with a lab. So let me just finish off that. I work with a lab. It is telemed. It actually has FDA people in it so that we are abiding by the law, because there's this whole thing that telemed is only for COVID. So we're working around that. And we look at either 86 biomarkers or over 100 biomarkers. Your doc is probably checking 15. So I'm looking at your health on a cellular. We'll take a look at cancer cells, not correct or whatever. And we're looking at the person as a whole. When you talk with our integrative doctor, we're talking to you as a whole. So that's what I'm partnered with that. And now I'm partnered with a company called LifeVantage, which is an activation company. So I'm going to talk a little bit about activation and then supplementation, then I'll take you into the GLP. Supplementation. You're given a supplement by the doctor. You go into Whole Foods or you go into Sprouts or whatever your health food store is, and you buy, let's say, an antioxidant. So you start taking, maybe you feel a little better, and I say to you, what do you notice? I don't know. How much are you absorbing? I don't know. Did your doctor not check that lab? No. So I'm guessing and I'm hoping anywhere between 15 to 20% is what you're absorbing. But I also don't know how messed up your insides are unless I see the labs. Yeah. So I'm now pushing in a system that is for the last 60 years or 50 years or 40 years, you've eaten the way you've eaten and the system inside is not functioning. The messages are not going where they're supposed to. So there is two products I love. One is it's called NRF2 per tandem, and that works primarily on inflammation. So it starts to get rid of the inflammation, opens the pathways, and your body starts producing glutathione up to 300% in about 30 days. So it's now dealing with the free radicals, which is the side effect of metabolism, poor metabolism and high inflammation. But if you're producing it yourself, I know you're absorbing 100% of it and it's doing the job it's supposed to. And the other is the GLP. So Ozempic came out, and I'm not going to bash other products, but you go through a range of testing a product and it has a line. Well, Ozempic just made the line. But the benefits they saw were so good, they sent it to marketing and it hit the market. Then came semaglutide and then came Wegovy, okay? And all the women got on it because it was a weight loss thing. It's not really. We started about 2 to 3 years ago looking at GLP. And for your listeners who don't know, GLP is a hormone we produce in our gut. And like anything else, if you're eating like crap and you're not drinking the water and you're not eating your greens, etc., the hormones stop. And also 25, 30, 35, you're producing less hormones, and eventually then it stops. Hence menopause, male menopause. I mean, it's all aging, wrinkles. Nothing's being fed anymore, and there's no messaging. So GLP, we started, and it's an activation. So what is activation? So that supplement, that glutathione you go to Sprouts for, is filling a deficiency. It mimics what's lost in your body, and it fills that deficiency. An activator comes in, takes what's in your body with synthesized plant-based stuff, and you start to produce your own that fills that gap. But it's your own body producing. The NRF2 will reduce inflammation by 41% in 1 month. The GLP starts to produce its own GLP, which is a messaging system. So it sends a message to the pancreas to say, Whitney had breakfast, get insulin ready, we need to break down the food. And actually, that's all metabolism. Metabolism is your body's factory. It breaks down the food and it sends where it needs to go. So if that's not functioning, your body's not getting fed at all. So GLP sends a message to the pancreas, and it also sends a message to the liver that dumps about 1,200 calories of sugar into your bloodstream every day. It gets a message to say, we don't need it today. So you may think you're digesting 1,200 calories, but actually you're digesting 2,400 calories. Doctors are not telling us this. So the message system is happening, and it tells the brain, Whitney's full. We've sent the insulin, the food is broken down, it's going through the gut. We know this. So the brain's like, I'm full. It
Yeah.
also quietens that food noise that I was talking about earlier. So you stand in front of the fridge, it's 9 o'clock. I know I shouldn't have that cookie, but I'm having a cup of tea and it's screaming at me. I know I shouldn't, but it's screaming at me. Oh, damn it, I'm going to do it anyway, right?
Yeah.
So you have the cookie, and then you hate yourself and that negative chatter and the stress. I mean, it's this, and the inflammation and the cortisol. So it's this rollover kind of effect.
Cycle. Yeah, and you have to
Um,
figure out what the root cause is, and it's
correct.
an imbalance.
Correct. So what GLP also does, it sends a message to the brain for alteration, dementia and Alzheimer's. It works on your cells and your mitochondria, so that makes those powerhouses able to hold on to as much oxygen as possible. And if you're on the NRF2, you're producing your own glutathione that's holding the free radicals, or getting rid of it, the damaged part of it. And we're looking at about 1 million free radicals being dealt with every minute of every day. If you take glutathione, you're dealing with anywhere between 5 and 7 a day. So that's your body activating what it needs to do. So activation is really taking your body to make what it is you need, what you can absorb, and you will get to being healthier far quicker. So I use both of those. We just launched GLP. I am on it because I never put a client on something that I have not tried. And I don't need to lose weight, but I will tell you that food noise has gone. I was at a party on Sunday and the cheesecake, and actually for the first time it was like, thanks, but no. It allows you to see where your bad habit is, and we work on that. Because if you people won't come off Ozempic because it's eating through the muscle. That's the weight loss, not the fat. Visceral fat is not moving at all. So I went and had a body scan because I want to show clients where I was and what's happened and it's not about the percentage, it's about the reduction of it. And so joints, brain fog, all of that is clearing because your body is not fighting to get through. Messages are going where it's supposed to. The food noise is quiet. Food doesn't become this issue. Weight loss is happening, but you're actually losing fat, not muscle. So actually, my people on it are starting to buff up. Well, the more muscle, the less fat. It's burning itself, right? So it works in tandem with your body. It's a 2-part system, and we ran out of product. It's coming in December. But if any of your listeners are interested, please contact me. I mean, there's science behind it. I don't want to get too sciencey on your show, but there are definitely studies. And so if you're a science geek and you really want to understand this, I've got all the sciences. It's all on pubmed.gov. There's peer reviews and in vitro studies, clinical. I mean, it's all there. We've done our homework. Yes, it's all new. So we're saying no side effects, but it's not out of a lab. I mean, it is out of a lab, but it's plant-based. So it's vitamins and trace minerals and plants, turmeric, milk thistle. So there's nothing in it that's synthetic. So there's nothing going into your body that the body's like, whoa, what is this? I don't know how to get rid of it, and I'm going to cycle it. Your cholesterol medication, your blood pressure, all of that is synthetic. That doesn't know how to get out of your body. And the weight starts, in that little tube around the middle.
Mhm.
And we don't know what it is. We say we're old. No, it's stuff can't get out. We're eating chemicals. We're taking chemicals. How do you get healthy? You can't.
Yeah. And I'm 43. And so my group of friends tend to be in their late 30s, early 40s, mid 40s. And I hear a lot of people complaining about their weight or their challenge to lose weight. Is it something that are they having weight issues now because of things they did in their 20s? Or are they having weight issues now because of their lifestyle and food choices?
Okay, so I would absolutely say it's a little bit of both. You destroy something, you keep doing bad things, and we all did it in our 20s, Whitney. I mean,
Mhm.
me included, to the excess, right? And in your 20s, you bounced back. You partied all night, you bounced back. You drank all weekend, you bounced back. And I can tell
Yeah.
you, I don't know about you, but at 60, it can take me 3 to 4 days to come back and get my weight where it is. But keep
Yeah.
in mind, at 25 to 35, our hormone production is declining. It's natural. It's what
Mm,
happens to all of us. So what
yeah.
has worked hormonally for you is now shutting down. So you're not getting as much testosterone, which builds muscle, helps burn fat. You're not getting enough progesterone because you're not sleeping. You got mood swings. Adrenals are firing because we can set up our bodies to deal with small increments of stress. You're running, the lion's chasing you, run up the tree, or you kill the lion for the tribe, and the stress goes away. And it works beautifully. And cortisol production is there to help that process. But today we live a life of 24/7, 365 days of the year stressed. Our
Yes.
bodies never stop. And if there's a food intolerance, the inside is stressed as well. So you're still producing that cortisol. Cortisol is the fat
Yeah.
hormone. So now we've lost the activity, and as one pathway wobbles, so will the other. As I said, how you do one thing is how you do everything, and the same for the pathways. So yes, we are older, we are slower internally, and we've never really looked at our insides, right? We hit it because suddenly now I'm getting 50, and what the hell? That's not what I used to look like. I can't even get into my jeans. So you come at it from the wrong side. Now I'm on a weight. I got to find that quick fix. I got to find that fad diet. I want to take the pill. And I did that when I put on the weight, I looked for that. And none of it gave me the promises they made. You'll be thin in, or you'll do this. And the truth of it is, none of that works, because if you don't do it yourself, it's you've not learned a thing. And that's what's happening with the Ozempic. So a 30-year-old or a 40-year-old's put on weight, goes on to Ozempic, but you haven't changed a habit. You shouldn't be on those drugs for long. But now we're going to come off, because if you come off, it's all coming back, but now you've lost your muscle mass. So actually, you've now got the Ozempic skin hang, or the Ozempic face, because there is no more muscle in your body. But the fat is all there. You've actually become a skinny fat person. So
Yeah.
for me, it's the same I would do with anybody. Let's look at your food. Get off the process. It is aging you every second of every day. And it feels good to eat healthfully. It really does. To have something fresh. Yeah, and to be able to know that I can change and learn habits so that I can help lose some of the weight, get it going. I then like to put people on the GLP maintenance. It's like maybe 4 times a week, and then maybe twice a week. But make sure that those habits, portion sizes. I came to America, oh my Lord, it was like I went to the movies and I got popcorn. Who eats so much? Who drinks so much? But over time, so did I. It becomes part of how you do. And so I say to people, don't be a sheep. Let's listen to the body. Let's take a look at what your body is doing. Where is it sluggish? Why is it sluggish? What are you eating? So for me, on the whole, labs will tell you what's going on inside. It will tell me what's happening with your hormones. And I believe if we can work with one, others start to work too.
Mhm.
But we need to support naturally the body. Food, 80-90% is what you eat. And I know you agree with me on that, but if we
Yeah.
don't change that, forget about it. Really forget. And if we
I
don't
completely
hydrate
agree.
ourselves, we're 75 or 76% water. We sweat, we cry, we work out. When do you replenish that? I don't like water. Okay. I actually don't care. Put some lemon in it, or put an orange in it, or put cucumber in it. Coffee. I love my coffee. 1 cup, okay. If you have high blood pressure, coffee should not be in your diet at all. It shoots your blood pressure through the roof. It's also acidic in your body, and our body should be alkaline. Our gut should be acidic. So all of that you will find in labs, but you need
Hmm.
extensive labs to take a look. So I love that I partnered with who I am with. because they talk my language and we're looking at the same thing. We want people to feel youthful, live the life they want, and do everything they want to do. I have clients that stick with me for years, 10 years, 12 years. I love to have fun, but if we're not having results, you and I need to sit down and talk about it because you are doing something that you're not honest with me about. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But let me know and then I can work with you on all of that, right? But if you're doing things behind my back, I cannot help you. And the end is I get blamed for it. Well, you said, and yeah, but unless you're following what we're doing, and if you're doing something you don't like, let's talk about it. There's always a
Yeah.
way. There's really
Yeah.
always a way. People say, I don't like to be in the gym. Okay. There are a lot of people. Doesn't mean you don't move. So I've come up with like 10-minute increment movement. That if you took 3 hours in your day, the last 10 minutes of each of those hours, at the end of the day, you've actually done 30 minutes of movement. The body will thank you for it. But it doesn't have to be in the gym, on a machine. I believe every woman, every man should lift a weight. If we
I
are not
completely
strong in
agree
our
too.
skeletal structure, you will end up one of those elderly with osteoporosis, osteopenia, all of that. Our bodies are resilient. It will heal itself if you give it the right thing. If you fuel your body the right way, you'll be able to do the 12-hour day or hike with the grandkids or go to Disney with the grandkids and not sit on a bench waiting for them to finish what they're doing because you don't have the stamina. So yes, I mean, for me, I love what I do because I can see results and I can then also see where people are hiding. And it's like this experiment. I don't have all the answers, but it's in you. So let's try different things and find the perfect match for you. So that's when I stopped building programs. I've got 3 programs. It was a waste of my time because
Mhm.
if it doesn't jive, it doesn't resonate with you, why would you spend money on something you're not going to do and then therefore don't have the result at all, right? So, yeah, so I say labs are really important. And if somebody wants to just do labs with me, they can. They don't have to hire me. I do like to walk a bit of the system with them so that they feel comfortable. I'm happy. They have to invite me because of HIPAA laws onto the Zoom with the blood. So you do the labs with me, you get a requisition close to your home, and it'll then get sent to the clinic. You will then get an appointment with a blood specialist who will go over everything. The final report is extensive, probably 40 pages, with their recommendation, over-the-counter recommendation, and then the clinical recommendation. So you need hormones. We need to get you on bioidenticals. You need thyroid meds. Maybe your prostate marker is up, or maybe your breast cancer markers are up. We will put a plan together. You may say, all I wanted was the knowledge.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a copy for your doctor, and most doctors have said to me, I don't have time to read it. Okay, there's a problem. If you can't even read your patient's lab
Yeah.
report and weed out what's important to you, how are you helping them? And then you can decide, I'm not ready for the doctor. I'll just do the over counter for now. I'll check in with me, along the way. And then suddenly it's like, okay, I'm not getting results. It's time to get on bioidentical hormones, or it's time to get on a medication, all plant-based out of compound pharmacy. So
I
they
love
work
it.
with you, but you have your own blood specialist. So I'm self-taught over time, and I'm now sharing activation GLP to them so that they don't have to go out to a synthetic product. So I love that we all work in tandem together because it
Hmm.
makes that so much easier for the patient, for the customer, for the client.
Yeah.
He or she's got a team, got a back. And I like to teach my client to have their own back. No one's looking out for you, not even your doctor. So
Hmm.
unless you have your back, you become your own detective and you ask lots of questions. You have that right, and you have the right to get answers. The doctor says, nah, we'll try Xanax for the next month? The answer is no. I don't have an anxiety problem. I'm actually having a health issue.
Well, and even if you had an anxiety problem, the long-term solution is never
Yeah.
a pill. The long-term solution is figuring out the root cause of the anxiety, which is physical, emotional, spiritual, or mental. It
Amen.
is, we all came into this life to learn lessons and to evolve. And for some people, that anxiety, there's something there deeper that they're supposed to resolve within them, and the pill is never going to do it.
There comes my mindset piece, because we have to address the emotions. They're coming up for a
Yes.
reason. And you've used
Yes.
those emotions to get where you are, except they're not going to get you where you want to go. They got you here,
Hmm.
but they're not going to get you there. So it's time to address that and recognize you're not your brain. You're the watcher of your thoughts. You get to shift them.
Yeah.
We can, even though you're feeling this, there is a way. So it's a little bit of a bridge. I acknowledge I'm anxious, but I know I'm going in the right direction. You become in charge of you. You become your own detective, and you stand tall and have confidence for your health. And if you're not resonating to being healthy, then, well, get used to sitting on your behind in the doctor's office, because you will go from one specialist to the next with not much solution, in my opinion.
Yes. I would actually love to know, when you aren't coaching, like, what are you really into right now in the food, health, wellness, or spiritual space? Anything that's really lighting you up personally right now?
Okay, so I lift every day. It's my joy. People are like, I don't know, 20 minutes and I'm out of my head and I'm in a happier place. I'm not a meditator, so mindset wise, I only use breath work. I can do it in the car, I can do it at a table with other people, but I can take myself from fight or flight probably 80 to 85% into rest and digest, because when we're in that state, we're not digesting and everything's putrefying. So tummy issues. I always look at labels. I'm really clean eating during the week, and I loosen up on the weekend because I want to have fun. And there are foods I love. I love to travel. I mean, I went to China and I just said, I'm going to eat everything. I'm never going to sneer up at somebody else's culture. And I had a blast. But I also know that I come home and I've got that cleanse waiting for me, and I need a week on that. And I'm getting rid of all the inflammation that's in me, and I'm on healthy foods. It's like,
Yeah.
I live on the ocean, so walking on the beach, even in the winter, is a love, love, love. And I just wish I
Yeah.
had a dog to enjoy it all with. But I don't have a schedule for a dog. It's not fair. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
I love riding. I have friends who have motorbikes. I call myself fender candy on the back, but I love to ride, and no one's calling me, no one's talking to me, but it's nature and we're in the country, and I love that. My family's all in Europe, so I travel quite a bit. Yeah.
I love
I'm an
it. Well, where can
ordinary
people,
girl, just, huh?
yeah, where can people connect with you, learn more about you? Where do you want them to reach out to you so they can book a session with you?
So several ways, very easy. The story I've just told you, I've created the Ingrid Way. It is my way. So my website is theingridway.com, and there are definitely appointment links in there that you can book an appointment with me right away. Email Ingrid at the Ingrid Way. That's also another great way. I have no problem texting me. Phone calls are difficult because I don't know your number, and unfortunately, I've had a couple scams in the last 2 years. So numbers I don't know, I don't generally pick up. I believe if somebody wants to reach me, they're going to be leaving a message. So text is great, and that is 858-692-3262. And I know, Whitney, you're going to drop this down for people to find. But yeah, those three ways you for sure to find me, to get me.
Perfect. And can you leave our listeners with just one last health or wellness tip they can consider adding into their life?
Drink water. Simply drink water. How much do you drink today? Whatever it is, even if it's just 8 ounces in a day, I say drink a glass of water when you wake up, and 30 minutes before each meal, you're 24 ounces ahead of where you were yesterday. Hands down. You don't have to change your day, but you slamming a glass of water, hands down. And we should be drinking about half our body weight in ounces of water. The other thing I think is really important is to monitor how much protein. We count calories, we look at sugar. Start looking at how much protein you should be eating. And if you take your weight and divide it by 2.2, you get your kilograms. And depending on how much you work out, 1 to 1.5 grams per kilogram is what you should be eating over the day. The body likes consistency. So if you're doing 10 or 15 grams breakfast, mid-morning, lunch, mid-afternoon, dinner, you'll be able to get those 80 grams of protein in. But protein is important. Sleep, building blocks, healing, I mean, all the things, mood swings. So water and protein are simple. We're doing it anyway, every day. Just start monitoring it and move. For goodness sakes, if you're in an office building, go upstairs and use the bathroom. You have a staircase in your house, go twice instead of once. You're doing more. The body will thank you for it.
Yeah, don't try to get the close parking spot. It's okay to park further back in the parking lot. Your car will be safer and you'll get the extra steps.
Amen. Amen. I mean,
Well,
I've got
thank you
clients
so
go
much.
visit grandbabies. I say, park in the park and walk to the house and text me when you do it. So everybody's walking better.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
mean, this was so much fun.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for sharing all your knowledge, especially diving so deep on lab work and GLP1s and glutathione. That's super helpful for so many people. And I think the revolution is going to continue to be really customized health, customized wellness. People better get to know their bodies and what it needs. And when you can't figure it out on your own, find the expert that's going to help you really tune in.
Absolutely. And I'm one of those, if they contact me, I mean, I'd love you to hire me. I'm fabulous. I know what I'm doing. However, people have hesitancy. I will guide you where you need to be, because that for me is really important, that people get the help they need and the support they
Yeah.
need. I think that's really
Yeah.
important.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ingrid.
Thank you. And